Ta-da! Welcome back to another episode for Labs Talk. Hope everybody's fine. How are you, Erica? How are you, Anna?
Yes.
Good. How are you?
Hi.
Very cool. So this time, actually, we start right away with our interview guest. I just realized it, right? So we have Anna here from Lizee, then directly from Paris.
Yes.
And we want to talk about sustainable commerce, right? Very cool.
Yes. Yes.
How are
let's
you all
do
doing?
it. Yeah, I'm very fine. I'm very happy to be here, really. Okay.
Very good. So, Anna, why don't we start with a very short intro how you actually became one of the co-founders of Lizee?
Yeah, this is a story. Like every startups, we have a story and we work on it a lot. But I will tell you the story. Actually, I started 10 years ago and I had a crazy idea. It was to rent products. So at this time, it was to rent clothes in Europe for babies and for pregnancy women. So really, remember, it was 10 years ago in Europe, and it was not mainstream at all. But I really had I was convinced that if we went, we're going to produce less. So there was a very high environmental impact. And the best way to do it is with e-commerce platform, and you can rent all over Europe, and you can send the product and return them back. And even if the the transportation, the carrier impacts can seem to be high, the fact that you do not produce the environmental impact is very high. So this was my ideas 10 years ago, and I started it. And I need to say that it was a bit too soon, that European people was not ready and COVID was not ready yet. So there is really...
Did we have internet 10 years ago?
Sorry?
Did we have internet 10 years ago here in Europe?
No, I think Jeff Bezos was not here. Elon Musk was not here. No, it's true that 10 years ago we need to we need to build everything. But it's true that we really need to build everything, even for subscription business model was not so common, but yeah, it was for me. It's like a year, a life ago. But yeah, and then we had with my first company, we had this partnership with Patagonia. It was very nice because we really saw that people were ready to rent Patagonia clothes. Actually, it was a baby's jacket. You really can imagine now how convenient it was when you have a 3 months old baby or 6 months old baby.
Yeah.
And so they really trusted the fact that Patagonia participated to this kind of renting business model, very ecological, very social, with high social impacts. So, and I really saw that the trusting from customers to this brand. And I asked myself, okay, what is the best way to have the highest impact on this rental business model? Is that I do not have to create my own startup. I have to bring to the biggest brand in the world the technology. Do it. This is the best way to do it because now they need to put awareness on this kind of way of consuming. And it's true that this is what happened almost now 3 years ago. I met Tanguy, my co-founder, who is a real salesperson, which was very good with me. I am a very engineer person. I have ideas all the time and I want to push it. So this is the story. Really, our vision at Lizee is to say, okay, how do we do in 10 years to divide by 2 the amount of products manufactured. So really, it's very powerful. We want to close factories that produce. It's true. It's not. It's difficult to understand, but we want to open new factories that are going to repair and refurbish and resell and
I think this is very honest, actually, right? Because I mean, I'm looking into a different market, let's say car sharing or so, right? At some point, we really have to realize that there are actually less cars produced, right? Because we're going to share them, we're going to reuse them. So, putting this on the spot here, basically, and saying this means we will produce less products, but we will rent them more often, maybe, is very honest, actually. So
yeah, it's honest, and this is very powerful for environment, and also if you look at the social impact on it, we're gonna create new jobs. We're gonna create new abilities. New people that are going to learn new way of doing new jobs. This is the future, really, and this is why we want to push. We push a software that can help people to do it. This is
so I think you and Erica stopped me, right? So there's not a huge master plan here, right? But we have a lot of topics to discuss, of course, right?
Yeah. But I think this is the perfect place to bring everybody in, and in case they haven't guessed, our topic is sustainable commerce, right? So we are talking about how we can make commerce in general, and specifically e-commerce, more sustainable, and really allow businesses and consumers altogether to enter and to leverage the circular economy. So, I think it's a good point too to kind of backtrack and look at, okay, well, what exactly is a circular economy, and how is Lizee an example of bringing that to commerce and to CX?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So Anna, could you just maybe to kick this off now? Actually, I mean, you told us about your history now, right? But could we maybe focus now a bit on Lizee and kind of I would say the mission of Lizee in a few sentences, okay?
Yeah, it's true that we do a lot because it's really new. So we do innovation, and what we do, it's a SaaS. That's very understandable. We do a SaaS that allow the brands from startup to huge brands, tier 1 brands, to launch, so to test, and then to industrialize a rental business model and a second-hand business model. We can talk about it later, but we really join rental and resale and recycling. For us, this is this kind of e-commerce that need to be associated. So this is a SaaS, the SaaS, and we really follow every data on every step the product is doing, because you really can imagine that it is a circular, I do like this, a circular path for a product, and is rented again and again and again, and we need to know where is this product is, in which shape is going to be back, how long does it take to refurbish it, is it still profitable to do it again, is it still profitable to resell it? So this is what we do with the SaaS. We measure, and we push some advices to improve the margin with this kind of businesses.
And maybe just to kind of detail this out a bit for everybody who's watching. So that means you're not building up your own marketplace where you basically offer products for renting or so, but you enable other e-commerce platforms such as SAP's platforms, for example, right, to enable circular economy and the rental business model, basically.
Yeah.
And that's also the reason why you're part of the Sub.io sustainability cohort, of course.
Yeah, this is why we are here, and we are very proud to be here, really. Because, we think that now we are only in 2021, and we have a long way. This is really the beginning of this sustainable e-commerce. We are very lucky to be here, to see what is happening right now. And for us, brands need to take it into their hands, this sustainable e-commerce, and they need to power it, and they need to show the journey, and we think that if they have their own platforms, they can be more powerful, and what they do the best is to make to do the marketing for their own products. This is why we choose to do platforms for the brands, rental platforms and resale platforms. But it's true that marketplace are also the future. If you see Amazon's, and maybe one day we're gonna see Amazon renting stuff. But this gonna happen. This for sure. Sure. We need time.
Cool.
Yeah. So then let's get into how renting is then sustainable, right? So we talked a little bit, of course, about the 3 R's, so reducing and reusing and repurposing, which are the principles of circularity. So maybe I guess to the basics, could you tell us what are some ideal situations in which businesses can enact a renting model in addition to their typical selling model?
Yeah. I really love this question. I was waiting for it. Actually, there is maybe a step even before. This is the redesign step, where the brands need to produce long life cycle products. So they need to think about redesigning. This is something that is more and more common for the brands that produce their own products. So redesign, and once you have the products with a long life term, we would say, what we think is the best way to have a high profitability on each product is to rent it first. So you reuse and reuse again. So you earn money on the use and not on the one-time selling, which is very powerful, because people are gonna live experiences with your products. So they can even pay more for the experience than for the product. This is really surprising. This is the kind of data we have right now. This is really surprising. This kind of return on investment, I would say. And once you have your KPIs, and once you have rented it enough, for example, you set up a KPI for sure. What we think is the best way is to resell it, and then you can sell it to another kind of people that wouldn't have rented for many reasons, because of money, because of they are not used to it, because they are not ready to it, or because they want to keep it. And for us, redesign, rent, resell, and then recycle. So you need to follow this product all life long. Recycle, because as it has been really well redesigned, it can be recycled. Really close the loop of a sustainable e-commerce, and you see the R everywhere. But what makes the R possible is every product are unique. So they all have unique ID. We're going to talk about it, I guess. And this is where we put the most effort, the most innovation, the most R&D efforts, is to follow this unique ID for each product. This is what makes this commerce very special.
Very cool. So I think we'll definitely touch on the details later on a bit more. But before we go there, do you think there are some product categories that make a whole lot more sense to rent versus others, basically? So, we can rent cars, obviously, right? And bikes.
Yeah.
You can probably rent some kind of tents when it comes to kind of going hiking or something like that. But what about clothes, for example, right? What about, I don't know.
Yeah. Actually, I have a very nice quote. One of our clients told me that he said that you can rent everything, but not to everyone. And I really agree with that, because we are going to start a new company in 2 weeks. They are going to be live in 2 weeks, and they are going to rent bras. So really underwears, which is very surprising. Underwears for special occasions, but even though underwears and
special occasions.
Yeah, because we cannot talk about it right now. But I'm really happy to say that you really can rent everything, but it really depends who is in front of you. And there is all this question of generations. So the Gen Z is more than ready not to possess things. They just want to have a Snapchat, and we said that when we prepared this talk, and we said, okay, Lizee and the rental this is a snapshot for the product, because you just have it for few days, few weeks, and that's it, and you don't want to see it again ever. It's like a bad picture on Snapchat.
I think I totally agree, right? It's a huge mental shift, right? Gen Z seems to have made that shift already, probably, right? But then the older generations, from going from buying and owning everything to renting, actually. So that's a huge transformation. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're going to change.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh
no, I just wanted to quickly drop in some stats there because I was coming across a few studies, and I thought this was interesting for us that JLL did a survey for its 2019 Future of Retail report, and they found that almost 60% of all consumers are willing to rent versus to buy, and that actually increased to over 70% for millennials and for Gen Z. This was also quite interesting for me because just in observation and through life, I remember when being younger and growing up with appliances that we kept for 10, 15, 20 years. My grandmother still has a TV that she had when I was a kid, and it seems we started to have. We started off with more of a mindset of really using something until the wheels fell off, right? You repair it, and there's a huge industry around repairing and really getting the most use out of things. And then along the way, as commercialism in general has really encapsulated the world, we become more obsessed with the newest thing and then the newest thing. So what I love about the idea of circularity in general is the fact that it is bringing us back to a mindset of using things to the most possible versus just only getting like the newest and best thing, and then still having things that have use that we put on the shelf. I still have my old iPhone 6 that I haven't turned on in 2 years, right, sitting in a drawer because I have my new iPhone. but it's really nice to think, okay, now we can pay for exactly the amount of use that we put into an item. And then when we no longer have use for it, then we're able to, it's able to find a new place where it's getting used. So it's good to see that the newer, the younger generations are also more inclined to that. But it means that there's still also some changes that need to be made. I don't know if you guys want to get into that already, since we're on that path of the conversation. What do you think?
Yeah, we should. Let's go there. Absolutely. Let's not forget about the details of this rental process, which is definitely on my list.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But then first, Anna, what are some societal changes that you think need to happen for people to embrace renting on a larger scale then? So you already touched on the generational differences. Are there any other things that you notice in your everyday work for your customers and for their customers that they need to address when it comes to consumer behavior or preferences?
This is something very interesting because we really thought before and after COVID behaviors. This is very interesting. Before, so we had this three main reason why we rent. So we rent because lack of space. Sorry, you do not have space to store anything. You rent because to save money, and also you rent for environmental impacts because you want to save the planet. And before, money was the first reason, and then space, then environment, and it was before COVID. And now it's really shift. And environment is the first one. Is the first reason why people are going to rent. Then space, then price. This is surprising what we see right now. So I think we can really push on this button of environmental sustainable impacts, very positive impacts, and we really see that with our clients, the brands we are working with. They are asking again and again for more environmental assessment for each product, for the service, to communicate to the clients, to say, okay, we can push on it and say, you see, you're gonna pay this amount and you're gonna save this amount of CO2, this amount of water. And I think I'm kind of convinced that the environmental communication is more and more understandable, more and more people are ready for this. And I think rental and every sustainable businesses, second-hand is part of it, are going to push this button to do more, to do more bigger market. Sorry. I hope this can answer.
Yes, absolutely.
It does. So I would love to get into the details of the rental process now, if you'd like. So you mentioned already like one huge technical change, for example, when you sell for rental, I would call it basically, right, is that you have to track every product with a unique ID, for example. So could you maybe walk us through that rental process, both from from a customer's perspective, but also from a merchant's, from a seller's perspective, right? So they have like the two parts basically.
Yeah, I'm going to start with merchant because this is why it's more where people could be blind. Actually, what we do is that we have logisticians partners all over Europe and in the US also. They use our software to push a rental business model, and they receive a bunch of products. Like every logistician in the world, they receive cartons and pallets and so many products. But the difference between our logisticians and Amazon is that when these products enter the warehouse, they are going to be identified with an RFID. For clothes, for example, we use RFID. For other products, we use barcode or QR code. It really depends on the kind of product. This is already something very interesting to work on. So they are all identified with a unique ID, and they all become unique because they all are going to have a unique life cycle, which is very interesting. This is when you think about it, it can blow your mind because you have in the same warehouse so many products that do not have the same identity card. They not the same passport. We would say they do not have the same stamps. They travel all over the world and didn't live the same experience. Sorry.
So you create digital twins, basically, right? For all these products.
Yeah. This is exactly what this is. And this is we do that because this is the way we want to improve the way we refurbish. So they enter the warehouse. They are going to be sorted as Amazon-like, we would say. And then like this goes to a very classical e-commerce phase. When they receive an order, they pick and pack and send it to the customer. This is really the part which is we didn't reinvent it for sure. We are not here for that. So the logisticians do the job, and then it goes to the customer. Customer use it as he needs to do it. There is all a bunch of emails and notifications to say, you need to take it back, but we can talk about it later. And then customer take it back, and this is where we really needed to develop a whole bunch of technology and a whole bunch of algorithm. When it's come back, we need to identify very quickly which products are inside the box, which state they are they going to be refurbished in 1 hour, 2 hours, 1 day, 2 days, because we need to assess the return on investment for each product. So we anticipate all this, and then once it's on the workshop for the refurbishment, we need to predict how long is going to take and who is going to take care. This product needs special cares, and so many industrial road to take, and then at the end, when it's like new, we need to restock it. And actually, the technology we develop is to say, okay, we want this product to be restocked as it was a normal product in a very normal way, and then to be rented again. So what we do, we really do the circular data process, and at each step, data is collected. But as a unique data for a unique product, and then we can know everything on this special tents that have been rented 10 times, by this guy, and they went to the Alps, and they went to because we know that we're gonna discover. Now it's maybe too soon, but we know that when we go on have billion of data, we're gonna discover things we don't even know now. So this is why it's so exciting.
Just an idea before I actually have one more question. I just came up with the idea, actually, why can't we have, like, if you have a unique identity for all these products, so you could actually allow people who are using these products to attach some images to them, for example, right?
Yeah.
So you would see that this tent or this jacket from Patagonia, for example, was used somewhere in the Alps or here and there, right? Wouldn't that kind of make it super interesting for also the people who are wearing it right now to see the past of that product, right? To connect to it, right?
Yeah.
I think that would be
super nice. And as there is a unique passport, you say you scan it, or with a NFC phone, you can read it, and it would say, okay. And even though you could communicate with it, it could be a social network around the product. There are so many things to do around unique ID, but now we really focus on make it work because we want to do it at a very high industrial scale. And if we want to make it work, we need to focus on data right now. And we're gonna call you, Sven, when we do it.
I want to see that NFC tag or barcode to scan, actually, and to see to connect to it. Actually, would be nice. I mean, okay, I'd have one more. Okay, before Erica, I hope that's fine, and then you can go next.
Yes.
Okay, but that I noticed that I think the refurbishment process seems to be super critical, right? I mean, how do you make sure? I mean, that's something that, for example, that, as you mentioned, I believe that Amazon does extremely bad. Like some years ago, they would even destroy the products, right? It would come back to Amazon because it's not worth it, right? And here we go down a very different route, actually. But how do you make sure that whoever opens the package with the return products actually knows what is to do? Because, I mean, cleaning a tent or checking a tent from checking a jacket, sunglasses, whatever, it's so different, right? So how does your technology support here, basically?
This is our main work. This is R&D 100%. This is why we have money, actually, why we raise money and why we need money. What we do, actually, is the objective, the purpose is to say, even you, Sven, and even you, Erica, even if you had party yesterday, today you go to the warehouse, you scan the tent, and you know how to do it. This is what we want to do. Because I really have the image in my head. So
I see poor Sven and poor Erica sitting there cleaning the shoes, basically.
The shoes, we rent shoes with Adidas, which is very nice. You need to check this Adidas website, location.adidas.fr. Sorry. So sorry about the refurbishing instructions. We want them to be as simple as possible, as we can measure how long does it take, and then with machine learning, there is always machine learning in a SaaS, and this is where it goes here. We can improve all the process and to say, okay, this instructions has never been used, or this instructions is too long, or this instructions people don't understand, and they're going to report on it. So maybe Sven, you're going to report that instruction, you didn't understand. So we're going to change it automatically to have the best process instruction for the tent and for the tent that has been rented 10 times, because the instructions process for a tent that has been rented 4 times will be different. This is why it's very unique what we do right now, and why we need so many data is because we are building the biggest database on refurbishing and the most optimized database on refurbishing. And we also work with a researcher, social researcher, to see the best way to ask questions to workers, because we know that there are the best people that know. And what
yeah.
we believe is that we need to mix machine learning and human intelligence for sure, and human workers intelligence is very valuable with machine learning. And if we mix them both, we're gonna go very far and discover the moon. Again.
I actually know when you notice that some product cannot be cleaned correctly, for example, or there's some issues or it takes too long, right? When you notice there's a deviation in the data, more or less, is this something you also report back to the manufacturers, so they could actually? You mentioned we need to come to these long-lived products at the beginning, right? So that means redesigning them probably, right? So for that they need feedback. So.
Yeah, this is really one of the output of the SaaS so the name of the SaaS is the Reuse Management System, RMS, is small name. So this is really an output from the RMS. What we discovered is that you can have feedbacks on product design in only 2 months. Otherwise, you would have discovered, I don't know, this thing is not going well with the tent here. It's always broken. I know this kind of piece is always broken. You would have discovered it in 2 years, because you need to wait people to send it back and to explain, and then go back to the manufacturing to say, okay, this one is not going well, and then to find again the right product. So the process now to redesign is very long, because they need to make very long studies on each product. But now with this renting process is going very fast to use and reuse. Actually, there is also this variable of time. You can discover very, very, very interesting advices for redesign for the brands, and they can manufacture and use it again to produce long time products. Yeah, it's 100% sustainable. Very cool.
I love how much just in what seems like a very simple concept, there's so many things that you're getting data that informs so many other different processes. So like we've already just now covered product design and user design, and how to essentially build in a feedback process that is not only shortening the amount of time to improve upon products, but is also not being a burden to consumers, because getting consumer feedback is a difficult thing to do unless people are either really excited or really disappointed with objects. You're also having how to inform an essentially like remote and agile workforce, right? Because when you're having workers repair and refurbish things, it's not necessarily a standing workforce, right? It has to be agile, and they're dealing with things that they might not have ever been dealing with before. So you're also informing that whole process and finding out how all these different data points can improve that, and also how technology can improve upon that. I think that's it's super interesting, and it leads me to think, okay, what are some of your thoughts on the future? So you already mentioned, for instance, in machine learning and bringing together social sciences essentially, and working in consumer feedback. What are some other areas that you are looking to explore and to build upon, both with Lizee and that you foresee for circularity in commerce in general?
Yeah, from our point of view, we're gonna be the reference as SAP for reuse, for sure. Like every logisticians, we use our software. Every logistician in the world, and it would not be an option not to do it, not to have it. And people will ask for it for sure in the future. But no, what we want to do is that in a closest future as possible, because we run out of time. We have a planet to care of. Like in every warehouses in the world, you will be able to do this kind of process of reuse. And So even if you speak Chinese, or if you speak, I don't know, Mandarin, or if you speak Portuguese, I don't know, you will be able to do it. And there will be this option on the e-commerce platform to rent, to buy secondhand, and finally to buy new. But to buy new will be something that people say, oh, you buy new, but why? You have so many options to do it.
Buy new would be the last button, right? The smallest one.
I have no choice. I have to buy new. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's a good point, actually.
Yeah. So yeah, we really see the future like this, and we need this kind of future. We need it, and I think people are ready for it. And we're gonna go with people like you guys, because you open the doors of SAP to us, and so it's a very good signal for it. Yeah.
Trying our best, of course, right? Now I just again realized how this is really a fundamental shift, really, in the brains, actually, right? I mean, when I just see these 3 buttons, and we discussed that also in the pre-chat and also during our interactions for SAP.io, actually, right? There's like buy new is the default right now, and rental is sometimes available, and then there's second-hand potentially, right? So, but we need to shift the size of these buttons, actually, right? So it needs to be rental and second-hand first, and then buy new if there's no other opportunity, actually. Yeah,
but it's gonna happen for sure.
Very cool. All right, we are kind of doing not very good in time, like always, but we had a great talk. So thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you so much.
I think we're running into the last thing again, right? So are we? And so we thought the last thing that we want to talk about this time for this show is the last thing that sparked your adrenaline. Anna, do you want to go first? What's your last thing?
I'm very honest. I'm going to be very honest. So I will not say speed riding because I'm used to it, and I do not have adrenaline with it. But the most thing that gives me adrenaline lately as an entrepreneur is to raise money. And the last hours before you have all the signatures from your VCs and your investors. So this is the adrenaline from entrepreneurs. So yeah, that's life also.
Adrenaline financing rounds.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Erica, should I go next with you?
Yeah. So I mean, I can definitely relate. It seems lately that any kind of business deadlines are definitely sparking my adrenaline, if not fight or flight. But in the spirit of the question, the first thing that came to mind was the first time that I got to ride my e-bike. I also thought it'd be pretty fitting for the topic. Because I happen to be leasing my e-bike, so lease to own, on top of being electric, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I got to show off a little bit and race ahead of my friends who are mocking me for being on an e-bike, but it was an excellent time, and I have to say that it's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, investment of the current time is my e-bike.
Nice.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. I love that shot, actually. Okay.
That's, very nice.
I have some selfie skills. I can't lie.
You do. I can agree. So for me, when it comes to me, the last thing that sparked my adrenaline, I was thinking like always, I was thinking a bit more in plain terms, actually. I've been to an amusement park just before, I think last summer or so. And let me try to share that too. It's basically an amusement ride, okay? And let me find it and start it, actually. And that's it for me, actually. So this is it's not exactly a roller coaster, but you kind of in these little things that turn, and you can see these wings, right? So the cool thing is once this starts to turn, you get resistance with the air, right? And then you can actually make yourself turn 360 with the resistance of the air. And that really freaked me out because it's a ride I've not seen so many times before, really. So now you see it going off. And once it goes faster, then you will just have that resistance to make you spin, basically, around your own angle, basically.
That is so cool. I've never seen something like that, but I definitely need to try it as soon as parks are open.
Yeah, you need to come to Tripsdrill in this case, southwest of Germany, I believe. Yeah.
Will do.
Very cool. Awesome. Then Anna, thanks again so much.
Thank you so much.
It's great to have you on. From just some housekeeping, Erica and me will actually have some little summer break now for the next couple of weeks, month, and we'll be back at the end of the summer, basically. So here in Europe, Corona is coming to an end, which means we can have vacation again, probably, right? So let's see.
Again,
somewhere. Rent a car, okay, and have some fun. Yeah. Well, then, thank you so much, and see you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.